Hello, hello, wherever you are in the world. Today, I have an immense pleasure, because I haven't spoken to her in ages, to welcome to the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show, Kim Ades. So my name is Ades van Rhijn. I'm the owner of Success on Your Own Terms and the founder of the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show. And let me introduce quickly who Kim Ades is. Kim Ades is the president and founder of Frame of Mind Coaching and Journal Engine software. She works with business leaders who are highly driven to accomplish extraordinary achievements. She is one of North America's foremost experts on performance through tough management. She uses the unique frame of mind coaching process to ignite significant change and life transformation. Kim is internationally renowned in the coaching industry for her innovation and passion. Together with her team of coaches, she has transformed the process of coaching and training through the creation of Journal Engine software. Welcome to the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show. How are you, Kim?
I'm great, and I am absolutely delighted to do this with you.
It's been ages. I was just thinking, when we met the first time, I was trying to figure it out. Was it in 2012 that we met at the ICF Worldwide ICF conference in Vegas? Must have been
before that.
11 then. That 2011. Why? My God, that's ages ago. And so we have been exchanging basically via email, etc., regularly since, although not lately, but never spoke again, huh? Really, I don't think so.
Look, I remember one time we actually had a glass of wine together over Skype.
Oh yes, so that's probably not been a glass of wine for the two of us together. One was probably coffee and the other one wine.
Because of our time differences.
Exactly. Exactly. So just for the listeners, we are having a little challenge today because for whatever odd reason, Kim did not manage to have the audio working her end. So the image is, of course, online, but she's calling in via her phone. So it may generate a slight delay when she's talking. I noticed that there are some. We hear you after a second or microsecond. So, Kim, tell us more about you, your success, your journey.
Oh, that's a big question. I own a coaching company. I have a team of 18 coaches now, and I have created a certification program so that coaches can learn this very, very unique and particular method of coaching, the frame of mind coaching method. And we coach people around the world. I live in Canada. Most of my clients are in the States and in the UK and really all over the place. And the way that we coach people is that we begin with a 10-week coaching period. There's a call once a week for 10 weeks. And every call is recorded because we want our clients to listen to the recordings and hear themselves and their language and their thinking processes. And then we ask them to journal in an online journal every single day for the duration of the coaching period. But, you know, you asked me about my particular journey. When I was, ever since I was young, really, I journaled and I incorporated this into my coaching process. And really, it's the foundation or the centerpiece of how we coach and made a huge, huge difference in our impact for our clients. So, you know, that's really the seed of all of this.
So before we dig deeper into, you know, how you work with your clients, etc., and the whole journaling aspect of it and the shift in the frame of mind, how did you yourself come to coaching? What did you do before that? And
well, I used to own a software company, and we used to build simulation-based assessments for the process of helping companies identify who would be a top performer and helping them make better selections for their employees. And what we discovered after testing really hundreds of thousands of people was that there really is one key difference between absolutely top performers and other people, and that was their degree of emotional resilience.
Mm-hmm.
So intelligence is important, personality is important, skill sets, experience, all those things are important, But more important than any of that is emotional resilience. So when we look at that more closely, we discover that emotional resilience is really the ability to bounce back from adversity with speed and agility.
Mm-hmm.
So that in my history, I have that piece of knowledge, the data, the history in learning that from a very academic standpoint. And so I combine that with my own personal adversity, which is I had a very, very tough divorce after nearly 15 years of marriage. And when I got divorced, I journaled because I could barely breathe. And my journal was my form of oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
I would journal because what I really wanted more than anything was to go through my divorce with as much grace as I could muster. And some days it was tough. And so I would journal all my feelings. I would journal my fears, my anxieties, my anger, my frustration, my worries, everything. And then always at the end of the journal, I would say, okay, so where am I going now? Where am I headed? I can't stay here. What would I rather have? How do I want to live my life? What kind of man do I really want from now on? And on and on. And I noticed that this combination of journaling and emotional resilience, they really fit together very well. Journaling was a way to really help me build back my strength.
Kim, were you already a coach when that happened, or was that before?
Oh, no. Well, I
Okay.
was not. I was an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
I owned a software company actually with my husband. And when we split up, my whole world collapsed. My marriage collapsed, my business.
But your business as well, yeah.
Right? And so I had to reconfigure my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I had to be a single mom. I had to figure out what kind of career I wanted. I had to, I got married very young, and so I never really dated. I had to figure out the world of dating. So I had to really, really construct my life all over again. And, I needed a place to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
So journal helped me lay down all the thoughts that I was having, but it also helped me start to design the life I wanted.
Interesting. And so when did you shift to coaching then? Was that much later? How did you transition?
Within about a year and a half, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Started to read. I got my own coach. Read everything I could get my hands on. I got coached, and I started to realize that a lot of the coaching foundations are already naturally in my DNA. It's really who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But this looking at life, this attitude, this perspective, this optimism, the drive to succeed, all of that is really just built into who I am. And if I look back at my childhood, I was the person that everyone would come and talk to from all different walks of life. I was just a person that people trusted really deeply with their personal stories and secrets.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, you know what, I think that I can do this. Let me give it a try. And it just naturally unfolded.
So when you started your business, the coaching business, because obviously you've had a business before, but this time at that stage you were on your own, doing it on your own.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what have been your biggest challenges when you started?
Well, at the very, very beginning, I had this idea that I would coach people. It would be virtual, so it would be phone calls, and this journaling. And there was a guy who I met at a business meeting who I got to know, and I thought he was absolutely brilliant, just very, very smart. I never had conversations with anybody like I had with him, and I really wanted him to potentially partner with me in this business. And I thought, you know what, before I offer him to be a partner, maybe we can test it out and see what it's like to work together. So I asked him to do some consulting for me. I asked him to help me write a business plan.
Mm-hmm.
And he came to my office, and I explained to him I was already coaching, maybe 10, 20 people by then. And he asked me, how are you coaching people? I said, well, we're using a journal, and here's what's happening, and here are the stories of people. And he took a whole bunch of notes, and he went away, and the week later he came back, And he said, you know, I've been doing some research and there's absolutely no evidence to support the fact that journaling has any impact. I think you're selling snake oil.
Wow, I don't believe that. Really?
In those words. And I was just shocked.
Journalists, so powerful.
I perceived him as being very, very smart.
Uh-huh.
And the minute the word snake oil came out of his mouth, I stood up and I said, I guess our business is over. And I walked to the door. I said, you know, you're questioning my integrity. That doesn't work for me. And I can't work with someone who doesn't believe in what I'm doing and
Of course.
who thinks I'm selling snake oil. That's not going to work. So we parted ways and I've never spoken to him again. But he really, really challenged me. And I went back and I said, oh my God, there's no proof to suggest that journaling works. And I started to do my own research. Now, 10 years ago, the research was very poor.
I'm not surprised.
Right now, the research is completely
massive.
different.
Yeah.
Completely different. There is a lot of evidence to suggest that journaling is therapeutic and helpful. But I had to make a decision at that point whether or not I would continue on my path or let it go. And I really just had a conversation with myself, with my heart, and I said, does this really make a difference for people? And I made a decision that said, not only is journaling going to be important to what we do, it's really going to be central to what we do. Because when journal, they are sharing with me their innermost thoughts on a regular basis. And as a coach, that equips me to provide outstanding coaching. So decision right there and then to say, this is super important. I don't care what he says. He's not right. And I had to, but it was a big challenge for me.
Can imagine.
It was very, very confronting.
So Kim, at that stage, how were your clients journaling? I mean, was it already online? No, you didn't have the software yet.
No, I used a blogging software.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, but it was tough for me because I'm not actually very technically astute. And so I had someone who was like loading courses for me and creating the system for me. Like I needed a technical person on staff to do it. And it was very bulky. It was very hard to manage and maneuver. It really wasn't an appropriate software to do everything I wanted to do. But the worst part was and here's another challenge, one of my clients was journaling and his wife read his journal because the purity level of the journal was very low. And in this particular journal, he literally wrote, "My wife disgusts me." And she read that, and it was a disaster.
Can imagine.
I had to do a lot of internal work to decide that probably was the right thing for her to see and for her to know that this relationship wasn't really a solid relationship. But I was tormented inside. And at that moment, I said, I can't do this anymore. I need a much more secure piece of software with bank level security.
Bank level security. I remember you mentioned that, yeah.
And that's when I decided to create my own journaling software. Now it's called Journal Engine.
Okay, so I heard you mentioned, that you were talking about people on your staff. How early in the process of starting your business did you start having staff, whether freelance or not?
Yeah, what I've discovered, and this is my third business, so I've been in business for a while. You could call me a serial entrepreneur. Is that the minute you have the minute you have employees of any kind, even if you're not paying them, the minute you have employees is the minute you're in business and the minute you have to show up too. Because when you're yourself, you can sleep in one day, you can take a day off one day, you can relax one day, if you have no work to do, if you have no clients that day, no contracts. And so the level of accountability, you can say, or the level of responsibility you feel when somebody else is waiting for you, called an employee, is completely different. So I hired someone very early on. I'm very, very clear about what my strengths are and what my weaknesses are.
Mhm.
And things like accounting and administration are not my strengths. So right from the beginning, I hired someone, and I kept, changing as time went on to improve my fit with the right person.
So what I'm hearing, what you're saying, and I find that extremely interesting because I must say that I'm quite, what shall I say, surprised, probably the right term, as to how difficult it is to find that. So having a business is really something specific. It's not the same as having what I call an expensive hobby, just doing something you like. And it does require not only a certain set of skills and competencies, including the one to delegate on what you know that you do not have any added value on yourself. But it's also a very specific mindset. So you incorporated that from the start.
Yes, 100%. And I mean, I can tell you, in the business I had before this one, I had no money. Like I was just, I was very young when I started the last business. I was pregnant, and I wasn't working, of course, and so I had to find a way to launch my business affordably. And I hired co-op students. So I found a way to get free employees,
Hmm.
and it was just amazing because the minute I did that was the minute I had to be serious and really show up and create a process and a system so that these employees had work to do. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I can't be more emphatic about this particular idea. Hire people, even if they are co-op students, because the minute you have to give work to others is the minute you are working.
Mm-hmm. And so you mentioned administration and accounting. I mean, that's the first thing that I delegated, certainly as well. Um, but what, because it's a topic that comes up very often. What can I delegate? What did you delegate first, other than accounting or
Yeah,
administration?
my books, I delegated any type of administrative work, graphics, website maintenance, design, creation, um, anything related to collecting funds, creating invoices, anything like that. Anything
Mm-hmm.
like that. So for me, the software component was a huge part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And we send out emails or newsletters once a week. I write the newsletter, but I have no idea how it gets sent out. So all those things, a lot of the technical pieces that take place, I don't do them myself. I actually am realizing more and more that the more I do what I'm only good at, or the more I
Yeah.
only do what I'm good at, the better it is for everybody
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah. I'm fully convinced of that as well. Yes. And so, um, how long after that did you really, after the start, did you develop your software?
It wasn't too long. It was maybe a year and a half
Mm-hmm.
into
Oh, yeah,
it.
so
Just
fairly quickly.
it takes long to develop software. So yeah, about a year and a half into it, maybe even less, I decided to build the software. And so I had a friend who knew how to hire a software person because I don't know anything
Yeah,
about
yeah.
software. What language do they write in? I have no idea. And so I described the project, and he helped me identify the right person to work with us. And so we interviewed a bunch of them, and he said, "This is your guy." I said, "Okay." But even something like that, when you don't really know the skill sets you're looking for, there are things I couldn't do by myself, and so I look for help. I look for people who were smarter than me in those areas.
So if I hear well what you're saying, words like collaboration and support are essential to the way you set up your business.
100%. I mean, even right now, I'm working with a brand new marketing team. I know there are certain things that I'm very good at, and other things that I'm only kind of good at.
Mm-hmm.
And so my job is to really amass the intelligence around me who can execute on a vision.
Mm-hmm.
That's my job. That is my job.
So coming back to how you work with your clients, one question that I have is around, so you describe, well, I know your process, but you have your clients journal on a daily basis. How do you, how shall I say, convince them to do so? I mean, how good at they are they at really going through that process? Because it might be interesting for some, you know, listeners who want to investigate that option for how they work with their clients as well.
Well, I'll tell you, the word convince is an interesting word because it sounds like I have to sell them on the
Uh-huh.
idea. I would say that it's the opposite. People come to us because of the process. So, I mean, in the land of coaching, there are many, many different kinds of coaches with
Mm-hmm.
many different processes, with many different kinds of philosophies and approaches. One of the things that is very, very important to me is the intimacy that is built between the coach and the client.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how do you build intimacy? One is by frequency of contact. And so, when the client journals and the coach responds on a daily basis, that's a lot of frequency and
Of course.
builds. So that's very important. The second thing that's important is how do I get to know my clients if I only talk to them once a week or once every 2 weeks? That's simply not enough. And so what the journal does is it allows the coach to collect very, very rich data over time.
Mm.
And so that data creates the ability for the coach to notice patterns in thoughts, in attitudes, in response, behaviors, in perspectives, and values. And that information is very important for the coach to be able to really make a huge difference for the client and to help the client move very far in a short period of time. And so the truth is that we don't have to convince our clients to journal. They understand inherently the benefit of the intensity of the experience, which is created through the journaling. And they say, I understand and I see the value you're delivering. There's no other program out there quite like this. This feels right to me.
So it does imply, though, that the moment they come to you, they already know what that process is.
Very often they are informed ahead of time because they've heard me speak somewhere or they got a referral from someone, and so they're not entirely shocked that here's what's going to happen. They are drawn by that experience. So many people, and I'll make a comparison, so many people go to therapy and they go to therapy for years sometimes, really get to know their therapist. Their therapist gets to know them, but they never really get to know their therapist. And so it's a very, very odd and skewed relationship. And for me, in frame of mind coaching, it's the relationship that's central to travel, to development, to progress. And so, you know, it's just a very different paradigm in the coaching world, and one where it's easy for us to explain the power of it, and so people are drawn to this experience as opposed to strong-armed into it.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I know about it, but so another question for you is that you are working a lot with business leaders. So by mere curiosity, given the process you're going through, what would be the split, you think, from a gender perspective between male clients and female clients?
Honestly, it's 50-50.
So you do, so you have many, because I mean, you may remember that I'm focusing mainly on working with women. So I'm curious. I must say that the men I have worked with were men who, and I do take them on when they're ready to do so. Are men that are ready to do the work, are men that are ready to dig deep and, you know, challenge their assumptions. But so I was just curious. So you can confirm that that works with men as well, often enough.
It works beautifully with
men.
Actually, you know, it's not that there isn't a difference. There's a bit of a difference in terms of you know, how they experience the process for sure. But I mean, men have a just as remarkable of an experience as women.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, a lot of my referrals come from past male clients.
Yeah,
More than,
that I can imagine.
which is interesting.
Mm.
My male clients do everything they can to send other people our way because their experience was so impactful for them.
Yeah, and in fact, my comment or question, I should say, it's not a comment per se. I think has more to do because with the fact that the men that I have been working with were really ready to go through that. It's more what I hear others say about their experience with men, where I tend to think, hey, I'm not ready to. Have I been working only with exceptions or so? But anyway, okay, that was mere curiosity. So you developed this platform. It's a software that is central to the work that you do. And so if I understood well, where you're at now is that you are certifying coaches to work with your process as such, but I understand based on the use of the software as well, right?
Yeah, so let me really be clear about that. What we do is we certify coaches to become frame of mind coaches.
Okay, so your process.
Right. And so actually what happens is people get coached and then they say, "Oh my God, that was just incredible. How do I become a coach? How do I do this for others?" And then they begin their certification. So we don't actually certify anyone who has not been coached through our process.
Ah, I see. Interesting.
Yeah, because we want them to experience the process, the coaching, the principles, the focus. We want them to have their own personal transformation and then say, "Wow, that really changed my life. This is where I want to live from here on in." So this happens for us. And only then do we discuss certification. So it's not something that is necessarily, we're not a coaching school like a typical coaching school. We don't offer coaching school to the whole entire world. It's really something that is for people who want to make this a lifestyle for themselves and want to incorporate really the principles that we live by on an ongoing basis. And you know, when you teach others, when you coach others, it becomes much more deeply instilled for yourself.
Of course. Kim, 30 minutes is always going so quick. I'm getting conscious of the time. Tell us, where can people find you and your software if they're interested in using the software as well? So that's two different topics.
Yeah, so for us, it's frameofmindcoaching.com. And for anybody who's listening, there's a very interesting opportunity on the site, which is to fill out an assessment. But in the assessment, there are journaling questions. So it's almost like you're a client and you're journaling, and those journaling questions go to a coach, and you get the opportunity to experience pure frame of mind coaching using those journals. So I encourage anybody who's listening, please try it out. It's really interesting, and you'll have a great, at least one coaching experience with one of our coaches. So that's number one. Number two is the software is Journal Engine, and there's a free trial on there too for 2 weeks. And I encourage you to give it a go and test it out for yourselves.
Yeah, the process and the software are great. I can definitely testify that. So please go and test both. So unfortunately, we have to stop it, this interview. But so let me tell you that our next guest will be on July the 6th. Her name is Dawn Westmoreland. She is a personal power coach, and she has an amazing story. She will share with you, her story of struggle, trauma, and triumph afterwards. So look out for that. The interview, Kim's interview, both in podcast and video format, will be available for 1 week on my website. So www.anyesvanrijn.com. That is ANYESVANRHIJN.com, and simply go to the navigation bar, the WWMTH interviews tab. Kim, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this, and good to see that you're really doing fine, and that your hair is as gorgeous as I remembered. I love your curls. you know how we're never happy with what we have. So
it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
Thank you so much, Kim. Goodbye, everyone. Bye.